Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people. Welcome, Joshy boy. Welcome, Dan.
Hello.
How we
Uh,
doing? You okay?
it's the silly season, isn't it? Silly season has already started.
Twitter is in full flow, isn't it? The last
I,
couple of days. Soon as
I
that
hate,
final whistle, there you go. Let's go
I,
mad.
I hate that fucking bird app. I'll tell you that. I absolutely despise it. The things on it is absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes I'm like, what are these guys talking about?
It is, but it's a way of creating traction, isn't it? There's a one message will go from another message to another, and this is where we end up. But
I love
but
this time of year.
Anthony, I think you've got a message, which is the most important one that you've received. What's gone on?
Uh, I believe you can see a bright smile on my beautiful face. And we do have a special guest with us today as well. We got Annie, who is joining our stream
Oh,
as
and
well.
how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah. And the beautiful message that I want to give to all of you people is we are back in business. We are sold. We are officially sold. And I was just coming to my wits end saying, what is going on? Like one day, everything's done. Announcement in 24 hours. Next morning, I wake up, the government is saying, oh, we are not happy about this. Then again, the next day, Roman Abramovich puts out, I don't have a problem. Why do these people have a problem? Then again, it goes on and on and on. I just lost complete interest. I was like, fucking sell it now, would you? I was at that stage. I'm like, could you get rid of it now, please? This is getting boring.
You see, it's funny. Like as a rival fan, it was quite funny to wind you up a little bit,
Oh, yeah,
uh, because
I
that's what I would do
understand.
anyway.
Well, that's what
Um,
fans are supposed to
but
do as well.
there was at no point in my mind that was ever actually going to be an issue. I
Mm,
don't think there was ever going to be a problem. There was always going to be certain situations that needed ironing out. There was always going to be, especially with the way that the sale has had to be conducted,
mm,
with the sanctions, with ensuring that Roman Abramovich isn't going to receive any of the money. He's not going to benefit from it. There was a lot of stipulations which made your sale
mm.
incredibly unique, because it more than likely will never happen again in
Yeah,
in in football to this level. It may happen to lesser extents, but yeah, I don't think it was ever an issue. And it's a new era now, isn't it? You've got your new owners who can finally take the keys and basically get to work, because
yeah,
they've got a lot of work to do and not a lot of time.
exactly right. And it is one of the biggest sales that has. It is the biggest sale that has ever happened in footballing history. And
Yeah.
as Thomas
Till
Tuchel
United get
said,
sold.
yeah,
We
and
can only hope.
Thomas Tuchel
We'll be
said it
there for
perfectly. It's not an improving situation; it's a rebuilding situation for us. And
yeah.
every day that passes on, we are falling behind.
Mm.
And I watched Fabrizio Romano's YouTube video that he put out yesterday about the Chelsea transfer plans, and things like that. And he's saying that we are going to be active. I mean, I saw that because I don't know why he would say that, because we have no other options than be active,
I was
because
going
we
to
don't have
say,
it. We have no players.
the sun's going to rise tomorrow as well, isn't it? Fabrizio.
I
Oh,
was
you're going to be
wondering.
active? You don't say,
Oh
because
my lord.
unless you're going to be playing Chabala and Sarr at centre backs next season, mid-table beckons if you're not active. Let's put it that way.
What the fuck are
Breaking
we
news: the
supposed?
sky is blue.
What
Man,
the hell are we
Malangsla
supposed?
at centre back. Oh my days.
Oh man, honestly,
That's the end of it.
in other news, air is Moorish. It's just
Exactly.
a madness. But
It's like
yeah,
Water is
rice.
wet.
Oh, rice is
Like,
white.
we don't want to be doing an Arsenal and, re-signing Mohamed El Nene, like, going to be active.
Uh-oh. Andy's
hey,
on
listen,
it.
that you're
Andy's
re-signing
on it
Chris.
today.
First things first, Christian Pulisic on a lifetime contract. That's what's happening down at Chelsea. He's going to be
Oh,
on
can you
there, put the
imagine?
numbers on the paper, give him what he wants.
Give
Give
him
that
what he
man what he
Captain
wants.
America.
I
In the
was, I
words
was,
of Rio, Sign the thing, put it on the table, give him whatever he wants.
Put it on the table.
I was just watching his thing, and they're like, "Oh yes, absolutely. They are going to be active in the transfer window." Obviously, dude, we have no fucking players. What are we supposed to do? We
Oh
have
my
to be
God.
active.
I mean, I suppose the biggest story is we all knew that bit, but Anthony, just as a Chelsea fan, what do you expect from the ownership off the pitch, shall we say? What
So-
needs to be done?
So he was very clear on this as well. So that wasn't the only thing he said. So I just brought it up because he said it, and it sounded funny to me. But he said a really important thing in it as well. So for the next 2 years, Chelsea transfer policy is gonna be operating the same way that like it was before with Roman Abramovich, with a little bit of overseeing by Thomas Tuchel, just to get it sorted out.
What wasting money?
Mm.
Go on, then.
No,
I
it's like
don't know.
it's just gonna be like very similar to that. Basically, if they want to go get somebody, they're gonna go get somebody. Because in order for them to implement their information-based transfer policy, it's
Yeah.
gonna take time. They need to set up the systems with regards to it, and after that, they'll go. So maybe we might be seeing players like who are free agents, but like some good players in their 30s and stuff, who would be getting more or less like a 2-year contract, these free agents coming and playing for Chelsea for the next 2 years. That's what I'm assuming, because that's what I feel like when they remember when the Ivan Perisic rumors came across.
Yeah.
And that's a free transfer,
Yeah.
30-year-old 2-year contract.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes sense. So
There-
that's where I'm
yeah, this
feeling.
could be.
No,
Just
Josh,
going
go
to
for it.
say, yeah, sorry, I was just going to say this presents Tuchel with a really good opportunity to build a squad in his image.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he inherited what Lampard. He inherited.
Conte.
He's basically
Sarri.
He's got
Yeah.
Sarri, Lampard,
Everything.
and he's got a mismatch of players. It's the same as what people saying Oli came into.
Yeah.
Now,
Literally.
if he's overseeing this, and he's going to have, I'm assuming he's going to have a fairly heavy weight of
Yeah.
Input into
He's
this.
definitely gonna
So
have
if
it.
they allow him to do this, you could well see Chelsea, get the players he doesn't want out, get the players he wants in, and he can actually develop something in his image rather than going, okay, you players play this way for me, rather
Yeah.
than the other way around. So he can actually build something, and I think he's quality enough to challenge the top 2 places. So why not? It could present a really good opportunity for you guys.
I think that time will only tell. But like what they're trying to do is trust in the current board until they can get the proper people in, as well as get that transfer policy sorted out. So the next 2 years is going to be like this on that transition period, but nothing major is going to change. But Thomas Tuchel and all of these people will be working together. For an example, like the Jules Koundé thing, that is going to happen because it has been a long-term thing, and they're not going to let things like that go. And then look at players in like that Ivan Perisic. They're not bad players, but for the next 2 years, just to get it across the line and try and compete. If not, it's fine. Be competitive as much as possible. Plus, also in the meantime, add a little bit of players, maybe 1 or 2 players who will be future-proofing the team as well. For an example, now that we have lost out on Tchouaméni, it might be something like they would
We're never
look at
getting him.
no, and like that's what I mean. Like, because we have lost out on him, it would be like a Declan Rice they might look at next year, for an example, as a
That's
marquee.
Matthew Rice.
Yeah, like something. No. I'm saying like as an
Joel.
example.
You see, it's funny, isn't it? It's about realism, because as fans, you always want your club to be challenging for titles. Got Man United fans, Chelsea, and a Liverpool fan in this chat. We all want our teams to be challenging for titles, but it's about being realistic. It genuinely is about being realistic. That you've got an almost closed shop as it stands now. It's a 22-point gap between third and second. It's a league almost onto its own.
Yeah,
it's about now looking at realistic targets and saying to themselves, with Chelsea, the realistic target is to ensure that they remain in the top 4, is to ensure that they try and close the gap between second and third, I don't think you'll go any higher than third next season.
No.
I think the top two will remain,
As I
hopefully
said,
not identical, but I think it will be, those two between us, Liverpool and City.
as I said, I'm vibes for the next 2 years. And
That-
also another important thing that they said was they are looking at extension of contracts for players like Mason Mount, players
Yeah.
like Reece James, and things like that. Those talks will start happening very soon, and also players on their last year of contracts, starting August. So they'll be starting negotiations with N'Golo Conte and Jorginho. Because right now the main priority is what they're looking at players going out, like Tony Rudiger and Christiansen, which is confirmed. Alonso is going out, which is confirmed as well, because Barcelona is heavily interested. The Aspilicueta thing is not confirmed yet, but they will sit down with him, and they said Pulisic will be remaining for the next 2 years, which we all knew which was going to happen, because he has to sell the fucking cereal bars. You know what I mean? Chelsea cereal bars in.
Just translating 2 years into the rest of eternity there for you. Just for you, that was just business speak for them. But I think the most not the worrying thing as a Liverpool fan, but is the conversation moving to a more intelligent plan. Is the moving towards one which isn't based on who's the flavour of the month.
Yeah.
Oh, Lukaku's playing really well. Let's go and throw 100 million at him. That's it's not sustainable. It's been proven that at one point it worked when you could build teams of Galacticos and build teams of just the best players and completely overrun the quality of other teams. But the difference in money's almost irrelevant now. You can't spend any more money than Liverpool can. You can't.
Everybody has pretty much the same.
Everyone's rich. Pretty much everyone is already rich. Anyone can already spend a load of money. The difference being is who you spend it on. We have Tchouaméni, but there's a number of other players who, as just an example, who are doing what he does in different teams. And there's a gentleman who plays for Rennes. I can't pronounce his surname, and I won't want to butcher it, but he's fantastic. And then there's the young man Sangre from PSV.
That's somebody that Chelsea is looking at as well.
Yeah, he is.
Everyone's looking at that guy. Everyone.
The guy's half the price.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons why we are looking at him.
60, 70 million. He's 30 million.
30 million.
And because it's PSV, they're not able to command that kind of a price. They're not just going to be able to just... It's why Roma could only sell certain players to certain prices, because when you're a club of a smaller stature, you don't have that ability to just go, no, we're not going to sell him, because you can't offer that player what they want. Same where Monaco's situation is now, but Monaco's got Champions League football next season. Makes a big difference, does it not? But that is the biggest one. If Chelsea do go forward with a FSG style system, that's when you become genuinely dangerous, because it's thinking intelligently, not the hitting it with a hammer, but picking away at it, until eventually it's like, where did they come from? Where did they come?
No, and you're right, Dan. And like as I said, the next 2 years it will be planning and getting ready in order for that model to be fully functioning and things like that. But they will be also, I would say, spending big, in the sense spending in the transfer market, because we still need to remain competitive, and Thomas Tuchel will be the man who would be working with these people in order to get things going, and which is important as well. And
you don't have a choice, though, do you?
We don't have a choice.
I know that you've got no defenders.
No, we have no choice.
People who are selling those defenders know that as well. They know that you need them. You have to spend money. It's not a case of you're adding one little extra player here or one there. It's like, we need at least 2 centre backs, a new left back, more than likely a right back. To bring in. That's a lot of footballers who, as it stands now, the highest quality centre backs in football, there's not many who are actually available. To reach those standards. Many of them are already tied down to big contracts, and
sounds like talking about United there.
Well, I was going to say, I think you guys, Chelsea, Tottenham, the Arsenal to an extent, are all fishing in that same pond. You all probably
Yeah.
need centre backs, and there's not
Oh,
many
yeah.
to go round.
Yeah, at
That's
least
right.
at least we have a very, very good academy that can help us out
Yeah.
with some players as well.
Mm.
So that's
It's a big help.
something that we have, and apparently the we are not looking at a Ben Chilwell backup replacement after Alonso goes, because yeah, we are not looking at one.
That's risky.
Have you got one in the academy?
No, Emerson Palmieri is coming, and Dujon
Oh,
Sterling.
so you're
is
Emerson.
coming.
Yeah, Emerson.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
that makes
Emerson.
sense. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so we have adequate replacement now, because the only problem, Emerson wanted to leave because he became third choice after Chilwell came in. Now that
Yeah.
Alonso is leaving, Emerson is actually pretty good. He played for Italy, won the Euros with them, played in that final as well. I mean, he's a good enough, backup, if you know what I mean. Not a starter.
How long has he got left on his contract?
Oh, he has another couple of years to be
Oh,
honest.
does he? Oh, fair enough. I was just thinking maybe he's got when you got players like William Saliba, once they get a taste of being, a first choice player, it's not nice to come back and sit on the bench.
Oh yeah.
It's a hard one to take, isn't it, really?
Yeah, with the amount of games that we will be playing, Emerson will definitely play as well. And plus, we got Dujon Sterling coming back as well, an adequate replacement. He can play both left and also right. He also went on loan, playing quite well and things like that. But yeah, I would like to go to Annie. Annie, what do you think?
Wait, you know that? Oh, what's that guy? Colwell. Is it Colwell?
Oh yeah, he's bloody
Does he play
brilliant.
left back or centre back?
He's a centre back.
He's a centre back. So then that's another person that you could see. It was funny to watch some of these Chelsea fans be like, "Oh my god, our club is not going to get sold. Oh, what are we going to do?" And then yesterday I was like, and then people like to scaremonger people. People like, do you see what I mean? No, that's the voice I give to the voice you give to some people. You sit in the back of your mind and you hear some fans, and that's how they sound in your head when they speak out loud. So,
Yeah.
and then I was just reading the comments in our chat, and I was just thinking, why do people think Chelsea are not going to get sold? Like, the government can only hold them for so long. Like, unless the government was trying to figure out a way for them to get a deal, like some money on the side, which for me is a bit underhanded. But you know what our government is like. So yeah, it's just down to how Chelsea plan accordingly going forward, because, like you said, you need defenders. It looks like you need some wingers, because I don't want people to try and tell me that Hudson-Odoi is still a generational talent at his age. Like, the guy needs to do something. He needs to step up. Like, he actually needs to show what he needs to do. Striker-wise, like, Werner hasn't worked out.
Lukaku is gonna go as well.
He's not.
Mr. Timms hasn't worked out. Mr. Timms hasn't worked out.
I'll see it when I see it, but until I hear a genuine buyer who you can convince me needs Lukaku and is willing to pay. I mean, what's the least that you take? Like, surely the club's not going to take less than £40 million.
60 million.
No. 60 million.
No, you're not having that. No.
How did our club pull back all the money we paid for Lukaku? And these men paid 100 million.
We swindled it hard.
I don't see it, boys.
The thing is, bro. The thing is, man, you two Manchester United fans, you're talking about you guys swindled everybody in the Lukaku deal. How many fucking deals did you guys swindle on?
We swindled. I didn't swindle nobody. I don't sit on that board. Like, them man swindled everybody out of something. Like, look at how much did they spend on Di Maria? Exactly.
Yo.
How much did they spend on? If we Harry Maguire. Like, let's not even talk about hot point, because that guy, Wan-Bissaka, he's gonna go back to Palace. Imagine, he's gonna go back to Palace.
Mr. Whippy 99. They said.
It's good that you remember all these, because I didn't make those. See, I don't speak for all United fans. Some United fans are a bit crazy when they make up with those names, but yeah. It's just
Anthony Martial. Remember?
I look. Leave Tony alone. Leave Tony alone. He's injured again. Surprise.
He's given some.
Can I include Jadon Sancho in this at the moment, or is that a little bit?
No,
I'm giving
no, you
Sancho
can't.
not
another
yet.
You
year.
can't.
I'm
No,
giving
you can't.
Sancho another year. I'm not
Not
including
yet.
him.
No.
Not
You
yet.
need another
Not
couple
yet.
of years for him to cook. So
He
yeah,
picked
we'll
up.
leave him out.
Give it
He
12
picked
months
up.
and I'll be back for you. That's all I'm saying.
One
He
more
picked
year.
up towards the end, and then but
I like
everyone
Sancho.
saw this team. Like, no one can come into this team and actually perform at all. So
Oh,
I just
dear.
have to wait and see how next season goes. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
promising. I'm not promising anything. I'm just let's wait and see. But
But to
Yeah.
close off the Chelsea chat, to be honest, to all you guys, like I am excited. I'm looking forward to what's gonna happen. It's a pretty exciting time in Chelsea's history as well. It's a new thing. It's a new era. It's a completely clean slate. If players want to prove themselves, you got at the end of the day, we might see some academy players coming in. Some like it, some don't. It is what it is. And all I got to say, I have been saying this for weeks and months now. We just got to stay calm and positive, and
Yeah.
be ready for the next 2 years, because at the end of the day, we might win a cup here or there, we might not, or we might challenge for the Premier League, we might not. We don't know anything what is going to happen. The only thing that we could say is better be Vibes FC for the next 2 years, because that will give us a lot more happiness than anything else. Because we can't expect this team to, straight away, Todd Bowley comes in next year. We need to go win the Premier League. That doesn't happen. Be real.
That was my biggest gripe with it was the new generation of Chelsea fans who have known nothing but
Winning.
spending money. Well,
And
no,
winning.
not always. You have won.
Hmm.
You're not, for the amount of money spent, you've not been as dominant as, say, a City has been.
No.
With consistency, but you had, of course, the money to spend, but it was the way that money was spent. The idea was, I was reading a lot of the the blue tick Chelsea accounts and those who were quite well involved there, that for them it was literally just big names FC. Oh, we need to get Chouameni done. We're going to get Koundé done. We're going to get, it was like just a moment. Just take your Abramovich hat off, because that guy ain't coming back. And American owners don't spend money like that. It's a fact. Aston Villa, which we'll go on to another day, because they're doing incredible business.
Jesus,
But
tomorrow.
anyway, but they don't
Apparently,
spend.
Bissouma as well.
Hey, they're
And
looking
they're
at
talking
Luis Suarez.
Luis
They're looking at
Suarez as well.
150,000 a week. Steven Gerrard has got his big black book out and he's getting names. He's getting the gang back together. Sammy JD Carragher will be there next season.
Can you imagine? You
No.
get Suarez up front, right? He is an old man, but still he can put that ball in the back of the net. Then you got
Mate,
Coutinho behind him, and you get Kamara and Bissouma behind
That is
Coutinho.
sexy. That is sexy ball time.
Team.
But then there's a problem. You still got fucking Tyrone Miggs in your centre back as the captain. So
hey, Tyrone Mings is gone skis. I'm telling you, they will get rid of him. He does not look better.
Tarkowski replacing Tyrone Mings.
But that's it.
God,
Just to finish my point on that is, with Chelsea's fan bases, like you've just said there, it's about looking at it and going, that era's ended, cool. But it's not a way of going, that's the right way of doing it. It was a one that brought success at the right time.
There is better ways of doing it.
100%, and it's been proven. You look at the Liverpool way. I don't want to keep going on to it, but it's proof in the pudding, isn't it? That you don't have to go out there and buy names that everybody knows and everyone's got on their lips kind of thing to bring the success.
Yeah.
Players like Gini Wijnaldum, Joel Matip, Andy Robertson, they're all big names now, but they weren't when Liverpool bought them.
Yeah, I think Andy Robertson came in for around 3 million.
8 million quid.
Yeah, something like that. something quite small compared to the
Joel
modern
Matip was free. Andy Robertson was £8 million. Wijnaldum, when he was with Liverpool, was 20 million quid. They're not.
Robertson and Maguire came from the same club. Oh my days!
That's the difference between homework and winging it.
Yeah, that's it. It's looking deeper into the situation and having a system, having a style of play. And as we've said there, that it's going to take 2 years, and it's rightfully so that they said it'll take 2 years to implement, because it's so easy to say, "Oh, this is what we should do. This is
But
how
you-
we should do it." But
exactly right.
it's doing it that's the hardest bit. So
Mhm.
I think 2 years. I think Chelsea are just going to solidify top four. I think you'll probably go for the FA Cup, the League Cup every season. Probably try and do as well as you can in the Champions League. I don't know whether or not you'll have the quality in the next
Mm.
2 seasons, but you'll be back. Chelsea will be back 100%.
And also in that meantime, try and close that gap between the top two teams as well
Yeah.
at the same time,
Mhm.
because it's 100% possible. We are not asking to win it.
No,
We're
but
just asking to be
it's
competitive.
about setting goals and targets and understanding that when Liverpool didn't win the league this season, 19 other teams didn't win it too.
Exactly right.
And there's a lot of attitude with fans who think that, oh, because Liverpool didn't win it, that's a good thing. It's not.
It's not
It's
a
a
good
bad
thing.
thing because no other club was even in it with a say. And I, as a fan of football, want to see Chelsea, Manchester United, Tottenham, Arsenal trying to win this league because it will bring the quality higher. And in general, allow us to not turn into a bit of I'll dare I say it, a bit of a farmers league, because that's what it's becoming.
And also, like, to be honest, I'm just gonna be joking right now. We're like, if it was for us to win the Premier League, next season would be the perfect season for us to win if Abramovich was still here and we didn't have any other problems, because the bloody World Cup is gonna be here in November and December. We don't really do well in November and December. So I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
This is it. But I think that's Chelsea done and dusted, isn't it?
No. I mean, I'm very excited. As I said before, I'm just looking forward to what's gonna happen. Let's see. Promises can be made, but whether it's been fulfilled, only time will tell at the end of the day. And I'm just looking forward to it. Win, lose or draw, I'll still support them. I'll still wake up and do my thing, because I know they'll be there or thereabouts, whatever said and done. But being there or thereabouts, Jürgen Klopp, then
League
LMA.
Managers Association and Premier League Manager of the Season, deservedly so as well. Massively.
say so.
Some people on the timeline are not happy with that. I'm not even.
No.
Some people on the timeline are not happy. I've seen shouts for Eddie Howe, Guardiola. I've heard shouts for. Who was the random shout that I saw? Someone
Graham
said David
Potter.
Moyes. Great. And I was just like,
Moyes.
yeah, Potter and Moyes. And I was just like, guys, I understand. Even me as a rival, I understand. It's upsetting. But the man was on for a quad. He's played almost every game this season. Come on.
I'll come out and say it, because we'll put the LMA manager one to bed, because ultimately there's only 92 people who have a say in who wins that award, and it's the managers top 4 divisions of English football.
Yeah.
They know more than we do. I can sit here on a YouTube video and as a fan, and I'm Liverpool biased, of course I am, but the biggest way is that they've said he is the best manager this season. I no arguments with that one, so we'll put that one to bed. The people in the know have had their say at the end of the day, but let's move on to the more contentious one, which is the Premier League Manager of the Year award.
Just before you start off that, Dan, if the people who are watching the show, please put in your comments if you guys want to say anything. We can get it up on the screen, and maybe also have a little bit of an interaction with you guys. If you guys love to do that, please go ahead and do so. Hit that like button and
100%.
subscribe to the channel as well. Yes, Dan, I'll let you go.
This
Premier
is
League
so,
Manager of the
Premier
Year.
League Manager of the Year. Well,
it's a rort.
Dad, who, like, let's put it this way. Who is your top 3 candidates? Well, we know Klopp is one, but who would you say are the 3 managers who stood out for you this season?
3 managers who stood out for me this season. Jürgen Klopp, number 1, and I'll go on to the reason why. Graham Potter, and this is to a lesser extent, because I'll bring that up again as well. He's in there. And Eddie Howe, but with an asterisk next to him.
Okay.
I would substitute Eddie Howe to David Moyes as well, because I think Moyes he
And
did
to be
something good.
fair, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm going to give the third one a joint sort of third manager. I think the two of them have both achieved very good things, but there's asterisks next to them for me, and I'll
If
go
you
into it.
say
So,
Arteta, I'll laugh.
no, not Arteta. No,
No,
definitely
he
not.
over
Not
he
someone who spent
overachieved.
£250 million on footballers and can bottle fourth. No.
No.
So listen,
He
I'll go.
overachieved, isn't it?
I'll do the Jürgen Klopp one because I think the metric for the Premier League Manager of the season is the only metric we want to use. Is it going to be to win the Premier League? Well, it can't be, can it? Because
No.
that's not the only true metric. It's a big metric and gives you a lot of points. But there's a number of other things that a number of quite salty fans don't wish to accept. That it's not to say that, oh, but he didn't win the league, so how could he win the Premier League Manager of the Year award? Well, unbeaten at home all season. No other manager did that.
Mhm.
Only lost twice, the least out of any other manager this season.
Mhm.
Has been able to win 2 domestic trophies. Oh,
Mhm.
but Dan, they're not included because this isn't involved in the Premier League. Wrong. They're sandwiched in between Premier League matches. These aren't separate competitions that run before or after. They run in between.
Yeah.
When you do successfully into these trophies, such as the League Cup, you get a two-legged semi-final, which is
Yeah.
unnecessary. But that means it's a game that you play Wednesday, then you play again. You then play Wednesday, then you play again. It's adding extra stress, making you go out again the next weekend, 3 or 4 days after winning that match or achieving whatever you achieved, and then getting the points. Getting 92 points in one season. You missed out on the league by a point. This wasn't 15, it wasn't 5, it wasn't 10, it was 1 point. We didn't spend hardly any time at the top of the league. United and Tottenham actually finished longer at the top of the league. That's a little bit of a mark towards us, to be honest. And it is a mark to mark us down with because we weren't at the top of the league. Bringing the points tally from 14-point gap down to 1, winning out of the last 16 games, Liverpool won 14 matches and drew 2. That's an incredible metric. You know, these are all things that need to be included within people's opinion of it. Jürgen Klopp has been able to take, and I got cooked a little bit on this one because he didn't like it. The old record for the longest time that a club has gone, where all 4 trophies are possible, was held on I think it was the 5th of May by Chelsea under Jose Mourinho. That has now been moved. The barrier has now been moved to a point that the only way to beat it is to win it. That's it. The only way that Jürgen Klopp's record, and this was sort of pulled apart, but it's one that needs to be taken a little bit more respectfully, that we've now gone to a point where football is now the only way to go above it is to reach immortality, to win all 4 trophies. Another point, Premier League Manager of the season. It should maybe this isn't included, but I think it's a little record that English football should be taken into account. First English team to ever win all 6 group stages. Again, these games are all sandwiched in between Premier League matches from 1 to 1 to 1. They take a lot out of teams. You're not just travelling down the road or 200 miles away. You're travelling to Spain, you're travelling to Italy, you're travelling abroad, coming back, having 1 or 2 days rest, and then being able to go back out again up against some top quality sides in the Premier League and to do the business. So for me, I think Jurgen Klopp was deservedly so. Just winning the league is not the only metric that gives you Premier League Manager of the Month. And that's why we're discussing Premier League Manager of the Year. And that's the reason why we're discussing Eddie Howe, Graham Potter and David Moyes as people who would have also been deserving of this trophy or award if they'd done certain other things. So I'll go on to Graham Potter. Graham Potter taking Brighton.
Before you go on to Graham Potter, then I also would like to add like a special mention to Emma Hayes, because she won both of those things as well,
She certainly did.
and she absolutely deserves it as well. And what a wonderful job she has done during this weird situation for Chelsea. Just
Absolutely.
wanted to give a shout out to her as well.
No,
because,
definitely.
Big credit.
Fully deserved with that one. Graham Potter taking Brighton to their highest ever points tally and league position. Fantastic.
brilliant.
Beating Manchester United 4-0. Amazing.
Why
It's
is that the highlight? Where all the other
The
teams
reason
they
it's the
beat
highlight
this
is
season?
their
Come
highest
on,
ever
guys.
Premier League win.
No,
We were
that I
we were the
get.
top
But why
six
is
slapping
the
boys.
highlight?
We were the
We're the slapping boys right now. Like
we were the slapping
get
boys. So
And
I wouldn't
I'll
put that up
also
on.
say
I
this.
wouldn't put that on a pedestal.
I'll also say this. They also drew with Chelsea twice.
they scalped
Which was
And
Arsenal.
Liverpool once.
and
They went
Liverpool
up
once.
against the big boys on a number of occasions and did very well. And that should be taken with what he has available, with the players he has, with the money, with the current system that Brighton runs, which is one of everyone's for sale at Brighton.
Yeah.
They are. You can buy any player out of Brighton as long as
Magnificently well-run club as well.
It is. But for a manager, it's hard because when you know that any player could be taken from you at any moment, it takes a lot to get the best out of those teams. Now, the only reason I'm going to put him to second is he went through a very difficult period in the middle of the league where they couldn't score at home. I think it was 7 or 8 games they hadn't scored, and that's inexcusable. I don't, as much as we're giving plaudits for doing so well, it was missed opportunities that with the players that they had there, Mopé, Danny Welbeck, Cucurella, who's creating the chances. He's now being
has been a
as a £30-odd million player.
Oh, he's saucy.
Yeah,
City want him, you know. City are looking at him. They're ready to drop the money because their left-back situation is not looking so great.
And there we have it. So they've got players that the biggest clubs are looking at. So it's not that they're not there, but that for me was the issue for them, is that they went through a very long period of being quite poor. Now it's Brighton poor because no one expected them to kind of be amazing all season. But it's when you're doing well, you should carry on doing well. I'm not going to give you an excuse and say, oh, but you did really well then, so it's okay to be poor now. No, it's not okay to be poor now. There was no context. It wasn't as if they had a number of players out injured or missing or, whatever like that, COVID or whatnot. It was a large blip in their season, which has affected their league position. I think they could have, if they got a few more points, that he probably would have been manager of the season for me. Now going down to my third place, Asterix friends of Moyes and Eddie Howe. I'll cover Eddie Howe. No manager has ever taken a team who was bottom of the league at Christmas to safety. It's never happened. But here comes in the Asterix. No one's ever had as much money spent on the club at that point. 150-odd million pounds worth of footballers being brought in. Some of them on £200,000 a week. It's not being done. He had all the tools to achieve what has been achieved. He achieved what
about Bruno Guimaraes? That was arguably the signing of the transfer window alongside Diaz. He's just come in and
I would say I
he's
would
been
even
good.
say Bentancur, Kulusevski are also
but it was a very good January. But I would say that between that and Chris Wood, very, very shrewd signings to actually get them.
I say the biggest one is transforming Joe Linton into one of the best holding midfielders in world football.
Joe Linton is the man. Joe Linton.
I said it. Joe Linton has more interceptions and recoveries than Fabinho. How?
And because they're easily. Christian Norgard's got more. Why? Because they never have the ball. That's why. You can't be intercept if you don't have
but I mean in the sense of remember how we clowned Joe Linton for being a trash striker, 40 million. Who is this guy from Brazil? Who is this fruit seller? Who is this charlatan from the favelas? Now he's like, oh my god, this is Joe Linton. Like, man's from the favelas, but he's here saying what's up.
Yeah. And now I'm ready for my downside of it. Eddie Howe also went through large periods of, even with these players, not getting performances. They went through 4 games on the bounce, losing. They were on a good run, had not beaten in 8 matches. But that doesn't give you an excuse
as well, isn't it?
but
And
And
when
then they
Liverpool.
lost
they lost,
Chelsea, and then a couple of games afterwards straight away.
but it showed a mentality problem that they were in that game against Chelsea, and rather than bouncing back and going on and going, listen, boys, we only just missed out. Let's go on. They went on to lose 4 games on the run, and one of the final nails in the coffin for me, which is to at one point against Manchester City to only have 1% possession in the second half.
Oh my word. It was so mad. I was like,
Scandalous.
what is this guy? See, Dad, we said it. When people want to play, when teams want to play, they'll play. But other days, no. No, they
I
don't want to
can't
play.
give any manager who is capable of allowing a team to have 99% possession to be so poor. I think they only had about 22% possession for the entire match
So
against
what
City.
was that
Oh,
Man.
but it's
1% given
Manchester
for?
City. That's
1%.
no excuse.
I thought when United had class of 92%, I thought that was going to be mad. But then you look at what Newcastle did, and you're like, wait, hold on. 1%
What
in
was
a
that
half.
1% for?
They hadn't touched the whole half was 1%. Like literally,
Probably a
that was
goal. It'd probably a goal kick or a throw in at some point where they threw it back to Manchester
literally.
City. It was
And I was
it was an
just like,
embarrassing performance. It was no point is that acceptable against anybody. I genuinely feel there's high school football teams that probably would have had more than 1% possession against Manchester City.
Yeah,
In all
1%.
honesty,
1%.
So-
Wait, what was the score of that game? Was it 5 or 4?
5-0. They got
5-0.
hammered.
5-0.
Hammered. And
Well, see, you know how the channels break down possession into like the half-hour categories. I remember seeing it was like, I think at the first 30 minutes, it
This
was
is
like
a great
96 to 4% Newcastle, and then just dominated from there.
shout.
I was about to get onto this guy as well because Uncle Pat, what Uncle Pat is doing at Crystal Palace and Mandem FC, someone needs to talk about that guy because look at how Arsenal went and gave Arteta a new contract. Why not go and talk to this guy? Someone that you know, someone that's actually playing better football with players that are not as quality as the ones that you have at
On
Arsenal.
the flip side,
Come
though,
on.
I will say, up until Palace, Vieira didn't have the best coaching. I think he was over at was he New York
Nice.
and Nice. They granted those leagues aren't, the American league's sort of fairly even all over, except one or two standout crap teams. But it's all sort of the bigger teams in the bigger cities usually dominate. So he's a victim of circumstance. He did well for what was in front of him, but coming to Palace and doing what he does, I want to wait till next season and see what going through another transfer window, getting more players in out, whatever. I want to see how the penny drops for him next season. But this season, brilliant job. Palace exceeded what I expected them to do.
I'm more than happy to obviously move on to Patrick Vieira because I don't want to include some recency bias. There was actually a certain part of the season earlier on where things weren't going so well for Crystal Palace. I think can we just get up just a minute? Crystal Palace's first 7 or 8 games. I have a feeling that he was the favourite to be sacked at one point.
Yeah, not even at the beginning of the season, people were saying this guy's going to be sacked with all the stuff.
Because he got sacked from Nice, they lost 5 games on the bounce. And that's why he got sacked from there. But just to finish off with how that's my reasons why I don't think that we need to give him that many plaudits because he's been given the tools to achieve what he achieved, unlike Graham Potter. Now, moving on to my man, David Moyes. David Moyes, the reason he's third for me, and I have to say he's third for me, is because they did fabulously well in Europe. They did. Yeah. But when the going got tough, the club didn't back him. Yeah. And as a manager, it's on him to demand these players. He knew he needed more players. This is an opportunity missed for West Ham to have picked up a European trophy. They did the hard work and beat Sevilla. They even beat Lyon. But Eintracht Frankfurt, they should have beat them. And if they got to that final, I think they would have won the trophy. The side of it that lets him down is that they absolutely should have achieved Europa League. Absolutely. It's a step backwards. You don't get a trophy for finishing joint third in Europa League. You don't get anything for it. Next season, they're now in a different competition. They're in the Europa Conference League. You don't move backwards. It's not acceptable to go, oh, but we overachieved, so it's okay to be back now. But we didn't. That's the thing. We didn't beat them. They didn't do that. They didn't get there. They didn't bring the players in that they needed, and that was the problem. West Ham losing out on this. Absolutely, Liverpool should have beat Brentford.
By the way,
like-
the Brentford manager also should get a good shout. What's his name?
Thomas Frank. But Thomas Frank did the
Thomas
same at
Frank
one
can
point.
get in the bin. Get in the bin. That guy talks a lot. Guy talks too much.
Thomas Frank went through a point with Brentford again, but I'm going to give it to them again. It's the same point. They got hammered for weeks on end. 4-5-0, game after game after game after game. You can't just excuse, but we were good to begin with, but now it's okay to shy. It's not how it works. You have, if you can prove you can do it, there's no excuse to then lose 4-5-4.
Yeah.
It became cricket scores. It looked daft. But
United. That's a shock.
With Patrick,
exactly.
What was Crystal Palace's opening results?
Let me see. By the way, Dan, I just got to ask, where is Thomas Tuchel in your little ranking system? Because he did go through quite a lot as well this season.
He did go through a lot. He did go through a lot, but I think the letdown there is again having such a team full of quality and money that was spent. If you don't achieve with it, it becomes a negative. You know, if you have £100 million players and £70 million players in your team, I'm not going to sit there and then give you the same respect as Graham Potter, because ultimately you have the tools. You have the tools to do this. You have the cash. Cash is king in football at the end of the day, and we've all proven that. So for me, Thomas Tuchel has on a number of occasions done very well, but the difficulty being is not changing the style, which probably needed to happen, or at least in the January period. You could still make signings in January, couldn't you?
Yeah, but that was the problem, isn't it? The club didn't want to do it.
Yeah, but you didn't. That's the thing that they didn't. And this was that time where you lost Chilwell, you were losing Reece James at a number of key important moments. But if you're not going to carry on and build upon that strength, I think that for Tuchel, it was a bit of probably a fourth or fifth sort of position in around there. There's a number of people who were joined. So I'm not going to sit there and say someone's horrendous and say they're 20 odd down there. But go on, what's Crystal Palace's opening games?
So the first game they played was against Chelsea. That's when Chalobah debuted for Chelsea and he scored that screamer of a goal. So it was 3-0 to Chelsea. Then Crystal Palace, Brentford 0-0, West Ham, Crystal Palace 2-2. And then they went on to beat Spurs 3-0. And then they lost against Liverpool 3-0. And then drew against Brighton 1-1. And then drew against Leicester 2-2. Then Arsenal again a 2-2. Crystal Palace, Newcastle 2-2. And this is where it all started.
Bloody
October
hell.
31st, they won against Manchester City 2-0. And then went on to win and draw a few games, but they were going on.
So is that 1 win in 9 games?
I think so.
1, yeah.
A few draws as well in the middle.
That's 25% of the season. I can't give you, he's manager of the season shouts with 1 win in 9 games. Is that enough?
No.
It's
So
probably an
basically,
honourable mention, though, I'd say.
It's like an honourable mention. But
Yeah, of course. But again, I'm talking about recency. If he'd ended with 1 win in 9 games, he wouldn't be involved in the conversation, would he?
Yeah.
Would
so
he?
But it's the body of work that you have to look at.
Yeah, of course you do. But De Bruyne didn't turn up for the first 3 months of the season, and then he ended on winning Player of the Season. If he'd ended up being that player at the end of the season, he wouldn't have won it, would he? Of course, we all remember what you did towards the end more so than what we did at the start. And that's why there's context there, is that I'm looking across the season. I'm not going to allow you to be involved in those situations when I've looked at it and know that I just wanted to prove I did know that they'd not perform very well in the first 10 games.
No, they didn't do well. Like, to be
Yeah, they
honest,
didn't.
on a 38 game situation as well, they've won 11, drawn 15, and lost 12. Aston Villa compared to, because Aston Villa, Brentford, and Crystal Palace and Newcastle are like almost in that same
Yeah.
like same total. So
Yeah.
Newcastle are in 11th, then Crystal Palace 12th, Brentford 13th, and Aston Villa 14th. So Newcastle played 38, won 13, drew 10, and lost 15. Crystal Palace won 11, drew 15, lost 12. So less losses
But they
than
had two different managers, though, didn't they?
Yeah, so they had two different managers. Thomas Frank's Brentford, which is 13th, played 38, won 13, which is 2 games more than Crystal Palace, drew 7, but lost 18 games, right?
Again.
Which makes that difference there. Then Aston Villa, which also had two managers, also we need to add that in. Played 38, won 13, drew 6, and lost 19 games for the season. So
100%. I mean, and Aston Villa were in relegation form at the start of the season.
Exactly right.
It'd be just interesting. And that's why it's nothing about me having a thing about saying, because I think he's done very well. But again, I've not included Steven Gerrard in this. I've not included equally so, because he has done well. He has done well, but he has not done. He has not done what I think he would be happy with. And I think ultimately, when you come into a club like that, that's the thing. So nothing against Crystal Palace, no problem at all. He's done a great job, but let's not let recency bias cloud some of the situations as to why you shouldn't be including the manager of the season. Not winning winning once in 9 games is not good enough. It's it's you could get sacked for that, basically. And I think if we look back, I think that's what the Aston Villa manager got sacked for.
Yeah,
Dean
so
Smith,
I was looking at the Aston Villa.
What's their first 9 games? Just as an interest.
I'm gonna look at it. I was just looking at
just to see if it was similar and he got sacked. That would just be an interesting to just to look at.
I was just looking at Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard's win and loss percentage in Aston Villa and Everton respectively. Like, Lampard has lost 11 games in 21 games, whereas Steven Gerrard lost 13 games in 28 games. Everton drawn 2 in 21 games. Villa drawn 5 in 28 games, but Villa won 10 in 28 games. I think one of them is like a couple of them are like some of the cup games as well. And Frank Lampard has won 8, which, like, Lampard does have this thing, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't see either of them having any sort of vote in it, because at the end of the day,
well, how can Frank Lampard be included? He has the record for the first manager to have lost his first 5 games.
Exactly. They cannot be.
So he's out. Gone. Sorry, he has the worst record in Premier League football.
No, you're right.
He's the one who's lost the most games consecutively.
No, you're right. And because, like, sometimes people like to put it out like this fairy tale thing where he somehow bought them out of relegation. They were nonsense. They were shit.
Chelsea and Manchester United, you're the reason. You guys are the reason that they still up.
Too much bigotry in football.
We're not trying to bring up the heartache again.
New footballing philosophy.
We'll move right along.
I agree with Twisted in this one, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to say I don't, because I think I've proven my my reasoning as to why.
Literally, Dan, they had no players
when Patrick
Vieira came into that team. They were playing under Roy Hodgson for God knows how long. They didn't know how to attack because Roy does not attack. But Vieira came in. Everybody said, I remember this very well. Everybody said that Patrick Vieira is gonna get Crystal Palace relegated. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying he deserves an award or anything of that sort, but I'm just saying that, yeah, Patrick Vieira has done something really well with this
And
Crystal
so am
Palace
I.
team.
And
Yeah,
so am I.
that's all I'm saying.
He has done well. I'm saying he
Really
has
well.
done absolutely well. But again, you have to. It's a season long award, and you need to look at the full season.
Oh, 100%.
That's
And
that's what's
I
important.
I got the Aston Villa scores and
Yeah,
results.
just to let me, just so I can compare it. So Aston Villa's first 9 games, they won. So
So
that's
they
2 wins. We've already got more wins.
so they lost to Watford the
Oh,
first
sorry, they
game.
lost. Sorry, so yeah, lost
Lost, then
one,
won,
one.
draw, and lost and
Yeah,
won.
2 wins.
And let me write this down. So first 9 game. The first game is a loss,
Yeah,
then a win, then
yeah,
a draw. So that's 3 games done. Then a loss,
yeah,
then a win against
Mhm.
Everton. That's
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then
They won
a
again
loss
against United,
to United, then
which
a
is
loss to Spurs.
No, they beat United.
they beat
Oh,
United.
they beat United. Everybody
Yeah.
beat United except
Oh, come
Chelsea.
on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, you can't lie. Can't lie
Uh,
about that.
and
That's not my
so they
fault.
lost to Spurs. That's 7 games. And they lost to Wolves.
Yeah,
And they lost to Arsenal. So that's your 9 games. In that 9 games, they have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, won
Mm.
1, 2, 3 times, and drawn once. So 5 losses, 3 wins, and 1 draw.
in the same
Hmm.
amount of time, Dean Smith got sacked,
Yeah.
and he won more games. So that's what I'm
Mm.
saying to you. That's why I'm trying to say that you can't start with a vein of form that gets somebody sacked or worse, and then go on and win a seasonal award. There's nothing in it. It's
No,
just how
there
it
is
is.
no way of doing it.
And that's how that is. But yeah, so for me, I think that Jurgen Klopp very well deserved it. I think
Oh,
ultimately,
100%. I agree as well.
Mm,
yeah,
deserved.
and if that doesn't convince you that the fact that winning the league is not the only metric,
Mm.
then I can't help you. I suppose.
Touching
No,
on
no.
That'd be a boring award though. Every manager that wins it
yeah.
wins it. Like, it's
Do you
just
know how many
What's the
you got
Fergusons
to
point?
look
would
at
have
all the
had by now?
circumstances of everyone involved. Yeah, exactly. You just yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got yeah. Sorry, continue.
No, Josh. I mean, you are absolutely right. Like, let's say that, something happened and all the other teams could just not play the rest of the 38 games. And
Yeah,
let's say Watford has 1 game and they won that and they win the Premier League. And does that mean Roy Hodgson gets the bloody Premier League Manager of the Year award or something?
no,
You know
that's
what
it.
I
But
mean?
there's also the argument. Like last year, I remember hearing shout. Well, no, it might have been the year before. Whenever Leeds came back up, there were shouts for Bielsa because
That guy
they
doesn't
stayed up.
deserve
Oh,
nothing.
wait.
No, I know,
Nah,
but I'm saying, but like this is the ridiculousness. People
I'm
like
so
yeah.
upset that they didn't
using
get
that
relegated,
logic.
by the way. I'm so
Yeah,
upset about that.
using yeah, that's it. But you use that logic, and you could easily say Thomas Frank should have got manager of the year if you're
Yeah.
going by that logic. But
It's
it just
ridiculous.
it is it's ridiculous, and that's what I love about this bloody fan content and all the Twitter Nazis and everything.
I
It's just
know.
Like, I,
just
I, I, I,
take some Valium and chill the hell out.
no, I also like an honorable mention in this whole thing. I understand like Thomas Tuchel might not be on anybody's list or anybody's long list to be in the top 5 of the managers who performed well this season. Like, I just want to give him a shout out as well, because at the end of the day, he had to go through a lot of things that a lot of managers didn't have to go through within the last
Mm,
4 or 5 years. And
Yeah.
yes, he was stubborn at some times, but he did what he had to do. But we still remain third. We were competitive in the cup competitions. I believe that win against Real Madrid, but still getting knocked out of the Champions League, took out a lot of the team, because at
Yeah.
that time everybody thought the sanctions didn't face us. But with that, not getting ourselves knocked out, and then the sanctions, it got into the players' heads, and we lost our way a little bit. But he handled himself well with the media, because it was day in day out, it was the same bloody question. What can that man do? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
See,
At the end of
I
the day.
remember very clearly, and one thing that I applauded him for was basically, you know, there was this one question I think it might have been the Champions League or about the Champions League, and it's just like, well, if you're not allowed to do this, 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 and this, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'll get on the bus and drive it myself. And that
I
mentality,
thought it was
that
funny.
right, but that's it. Like it's that mentality. He goes, I'll squeeze the squad into a 13-seater bus and we'll drive across Europe. And I was just like, you know what? Big up to you, man, because other weak managers or spineless managers were like, oh no, you know, I don't want to be part of this, and they could quit or they down tools. Like any other thing could have happened, any other circumstance, but he actually held his ground. And yes, in the grand scheme, Chelsea season hasn't been a success.
No, it wasn't a success.
Considering,
but also,
but considering everything, he's stood up very well and been very firm about things. And on a personal level, I think it's a big up.
And also, adding on to Josh, what he just said, and so this is something that a lot of people didn't know. He was also going through something in his personal life, which was divorce with his wife as well. And these things do affect people in different ways. Some people, it doesn't affect some
That's
people.
right.
But I believe with all that happening, that outside noise, all those things, plus, these personal life things, I just want to give him an honorable mention because, I don't think he is up there with the best. But he has done a decent job for us, and I'm grateful as a Chelsea fan to have him at the club. And that's all I wanted to say. I'm not asking him to be awarded or anything.
To follow on from that as well, big up to the Chelsea fans because, you love your club that much and going through those sorts of things can have a real toll on you. Like, I know as a United fan this year, I've been so down.
You do still get some idiots who come out and say, this out,
you should just get on with it. Like,
think about it. You've got you are so intertwined with your club. I'm maybe not so much international fans or that's a debate for another time. But it's like those people that go there and live and breathe it every single week. They weren't allowed to go to the games. Things were frozen from them. Who knows what sort of mental health toll it took on them? And for anyone, like, talk to, and this is I guess a little plug here, but just talk to your local hotline that's mental health related, because these things aren't worth, I guess, your life or your well-being. So it's like, but big up to the Chelsea fans for sticking with it too, because that takes a lot out of you.
Oh, bro, there has been so many days that I woke up and I was like, when is this fucking thing gonna end? You know what I mean? It is what it is. But I also would like to add, like, the last press conference he had, they asked him, is he gonna take a break? He said, no, I can't take a break because we have fallen behind so much. I am gonna go straight into work. Yes, I will go on holidays with my 2 little daughters, but I will still be joining every meeting via Zoom, because like these things have allowed us to still work even we are on holidays right now. And it is what it is. And he still loves the club. He loves what he does, and he thinks, and this is why I like him as a manager, and this is what I feel like he's 100% committed. And also, Twisted, as always, our new moderator for for our little channel. Mr. Moderator has said Conte has made Tottenham non-Spursy. Needs a mention, definitely.
Nonsense.
That's yet to be seen. That's yet to be seen.
But Conte does deserve his praise as well.
Conte has not made them less Spursy at all.
Not less Spursy. I'm just saying he's another honourable mention. That's what I think.
Yeah, but as I say, I'm literally just looking now. I'm looking at the results from Tottenham, and again, don't allow recency bias.
I think Dan was checking the thing, and he just
nah. The Spurs fan came to get him. The Spurs fans came to get him.
The Spurs fans got him. And yes, it is recency bias most of the time in all of these things. But at the end of the day, he still got Harry Kane firing. He got Son firing. And then he got Kulusevski, Bentancur. That team has been cooking for a little while at the end of the day. Like, in the grand scheme of things, they don't even deserve to come close to a Pep or a Klopp. But
not yet.
It's like an honorable mention, basically saying, yep, they came into a hard situation. I remember him giving bloody interviews saying, I don't know what am I going to do next.
I want to leave. He was saying, I want to leave. Get me out of here, guys. I want to move back to Italy.
And that's what I was going to bring up. In that period of time after beating Manchester City,
Josh got booted apparently.
in that period of time, he's lost 4 games out of 5.
Games that he shouldn't have lost.
Lost to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup.
Brighton.
They drew with Brighton 0-0. Drew with Brentford 0-0.
Wait,
I'm sorry. They lost last minute.
They lost to Brighton. Trossard turned into prime Hazard for like a bit and took out the whole defense.
I'll just give you why Spurs are still Spursy. Okay, so they beat City, then lost to Burnley. Then he was ready to walk out the club and he'd had enough. Then they beat Leeds. Then they lost to West Ham. Then they lost to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. Then they went back to being brilliant again and beat Everton 5-0. Then they lost to United.
Then they lost to United.
Then they lost to United. Then they
drew. Losing to United as a bad thing.
Then they went on to doing bits that they should have done. They went on to beat Brighton at home. They then away. Sorry. Then they beat Tottenham. Then they beat Newcastle. Then they beat Aston Villa. But then they lost to Brighton. Then they drew with Brentford.
Yeah, and they went on to beat Manchester City in the middle of all of this, and then lose 3 games in a row or something, isn't it?
And that's what I'm saying is it's don't take away from the fact he has done well, but the top 4 with the games that they had available should have been more than achievable a lot earlier. Not getting a goal, not getting a shot on target against Brentford or Brighton is scandalous.
Spursy are.
But yeah, if we're saying he's got Harry Kane and Son firing, okay,
yeah.
Why were they not firing in those 2 games?
No, exactly. No, I think this is something that we need to keep this chat on for our off-season special about when we rank our clubs and when we talk about what is
100%.
happening and what all of that. So I think this is a conversation to be had and at that time. But coming on to something even more, maybe closer to your hearts, Annie and Joshi. We got another baldy in the Premier League. We lost
the best looking baldy in the Premier League. The best looking baldy.
The tin man.
Someone, Sean
the
Dutch.
tin man left. The tin man left, and now we got Mr. Eric Ten Hag. I was going through his transcript about this about what he was being asked on this on his press conference. Very generic things as always. I believe it's just what you call media trained and stuff like that.
PR.
It's basically PR. Like one of the questions that I seen, like for an example, right? You've been preparing for this job for a week or so now in England. Were you at the Crystal Palace? You were at the Crystal Palace match yesterday. What are your first thoughts on what you are taking on and what areas have you pinpointed that need improvement? One thing, if I was Eric Ten Hag, this is how I would answer this question. Can't you see that I have arrived 10 days earlier?
Here we go.
You know what I mean?
It's you know what makes me laugh? Who was it? You know that video that was out with that Sky Sports commentator, that Sky Sports reporter who was chasing him out of the Palace Stadium,
and he got marked by the bodyguard. By
the bodyguard.
Oh yeah,
and then
he got rugby shot. It was great.
You saw, I sent you the picture on Twitter. What he was saying, like, "Oh, Louis van Gaal is Man United manager. He's supposed to be acting like this." I was like, my guy. I was like, my guy, chill out. Why are you so pressed about him not answering your question? You literally shoved the mic in his face. He said this same guy was buddy with Mourinho during his time there. So I think he's got this false thing in his head where he's just going to buddy up to any new manager.
It'll be very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Ten Hag takes to the English media.
Yeah,
because it's going to be important, as daft as it sounds.
Yeah,
because
I saw
he's very intelligent.
It's going
at the start of the press conference. At the start of the press conference, he went around to all of the journalists, shook their hands. They told them who he was. He told them who, and then basically when he went to the podium, it's like, "Look, I hope you all treat me well." And it was a very dry kind of humor, and they sort of didn't really take to it. And now you're seeing the stories coming
It's
out.
like,
The
I
body
believe-
language experts and everything saying no, he's indecisive. It's like, oh, go on, suck on another one. Look, seriously.
Come on, guys,
No,
relax.
he's a very, very intelligent man, a very well PR
Oh, yeah.
trained. Apparently, he is
Yeah.
very, very wealthy in his personal life as well. Even before becoming a football manager, he
Yeah,
used
he
to
didn't
be a
even need to be a
director.
manager.
No, he used to be
Yeah,
a
he
director
didn't.
of football as well before becoming a football manager. So he knows what
Yeah.
to do with these things. But the main question is Manchester United really going to let him do it? We don't know. Only
This
time
is
will
what
tell.
we're worried about.
But
we don't know. We
But
don't.
look at
That's
this, right? I've made an
Yeah.
analysis, and I think we are in the lead of the process now. What the fuck does that mean? I don't get it, right? With this start, before the season starts, we have now a couple of weeks break. So I'll make an analysis. I observe, and I set conclusions, of course. But I keep it now for myself. Obviously, it's not like you're gonna come and tell that everybody
No,
is
but there's
shit. You know
people
what I
that
mean?
want him to say what he knows, and I'm just like, there's no manager in world football who will tell you
Nobody says
what they're
that, isn't
doing
it?
from day one.
They're
Like,
chasing a headline.
I am sure Ralph has thrown a dossier at him and said, "This is what I've learned in this space of time. I may have not done as good as what people thought I would, but this is the players that you could potentially trust. These are the players that need to get going." Like, it is what it is. For now, we just have to sit and wait. I want to, like I said, I want to see what he's going to bring to the table. Is he going to give us something to believe in? Are these players going to actually listen? Because I'm tired of listening to all these Sky pundits, all these rivals saying it's just the manager. It's not just the manager. Some of these players also have to be held accountable. Look at the way these men are playing football. Like, your pride kicks in at some point and says, I don't want to lose anymore. Let's actually give this manager a chance. There's already guys complaining about the man, and he's not even here yet.
Yeah,
like, come on, guys.
But like, it shows not the culture, the personality of the players being so entitled. I remember that there was stories coming out that halfway into Ralph's time there, that Pogba and I think it was Lingard, Henderson, they were all going to Rangnick, going, we
Ronaldo.
Yeah, like we go, can we get different tactics? Can we get different training? Can we change things up? And that's just weak backbone. Like, I don't know what happened. What happened to the manager being the guy?
Josh,
Wasn't there something that came out recently about Manchester United that apparently Alex Telles was making issues in the thing? Someone else, Eric Bailly,
that story
was
about
issues.
two people scrapping in the fields, and I was just here like, this PR is in overload. Like, you guys are trying to protect yourself as much. These players, are so shameless. Like, how dare you tell the manager, I don't want to train at 5? If he tells you to train, put your boots on, step onto the field and work the hard yards about, I don't want to kick ball at 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Look at the way you lot are playing. I think you should spend more than till midnight training.
That's right.
I think what we're reading from those comments and just those first 3 questions is he may be holding his cards close to his chest, Ten Hag, but I think what he's trying to do is trying not to get carried away with the fact that what's happened has happened. A number of these questions are about the past, and what he's trying to say is I'm here to do my job. I'm not here to do it. I'm not. It's on the club. He's trying to say this is what I do. These are the things that I do, and I'm not willing to tell you things which are not set in place yet. So,
this further on in the interview, you'll probably get there eventually. But they were asking him, "Have you speak to Louis van Gaal and what it's like at United and stuff?" And he kind of went, "Well, yeah, I've spoken to him," and he also mentioned he spoke to Edwin van der Sar, he spoke to a couple of people, but he didn't go into the content of the conversation. He basically, and I would not be surprised if Van Gaal was, slating the board, slating Woodward, but also give him some advice. He would have given him advice about the English press too. Like, he would have gone, look, these guys are vultures. Don't give them anything to run with. because everyone knows the reporters are looking for a headline, especially around Man United and the narrative for the last few years.
Van Gaal always had some interesting comments to make, isn't it?
I love Van Gaal. I love Van Gaal.
Sex mechanisms and
Yeah,
enjoy your
exactly.
wine and your mince pies. Oh my lord!
I was wondering
Oh, mate, classic.
what the hell is this guy on about? But just to also ask you guys, I don't know, it's something that I've heard, right? Did he work under Pep at a certain time?
Bayern.
Yeah,
At Bayern
Bayern Munich too. Yeah,
he was there.
Yeah.
Right.
So he basically sat in on all the training, and he was learning from watching the training sessions under Pep.
Right.
He wasn't like an understudy directly, but he was involved with the whole thing, first team, second team, all that stuff.
We have two students of Pep Guardiola in the Premier League.
It's worked out well for one of them, hasn't it?
That's what I was gonna. One.
The difference is Ten Hag's actually won shit. Bloody Arteta's just run cones out.
This guy actually has experience. That's the good thing.
Yeah.
And I really believe in Eric Ten Hag. To be honest, like I really do believe it. Do believe him, because I think he's come here to do something good. Because at the end of the day, why take the job if you're coming
If you
here
don't
to
believe
just muck
you
around?
can do it.
Well,
I just want to see what you can do with some players, like certain players. I want to see what, because I was watching Sky Sports, and then they were saying, "Oh, this job's too big for him." I was like, "But you haven't even seen him try yet, so how would you know?" And it's like, "Oh, but look at the players he has. Like Ajax is the most dominant team in the Netherlands." No, because up until the point of when he came, Ajax hadn't won a league title for like 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and then he won 3 out of 4. And then you also take into account that the 18-19 team got pulled apart by, like Frankie de Jong, De Ligt, a whole bunch of these players.
Look at, they went to a semi-final of a UCL, like be it all, they cocked up at the end. But look at the team he had. He bounced out Inter, Juve, and Madrid. These are not small teams in world football. These are teams that have either won European trophies or are in Europe.
Yeah.
With players like Van der Beek. Look what he's done. Dusan Tadic. Who remembers Dusan Tadic?
I remember
that guy.
He flopped, and now he's a peak.
That guy's like one of the most feared false nines in world football right now. He has the same amount of...
Remember Sebastian Haller?
Sebastian Haller.
Yeah,
11 goals, 12 goals in Champions League. Are you kidding me?
He did a Joe Linton.
Who knew? Yeah.
Look at this
they're
question,
Haaland
right?
numbers. They're Haaland numbers.
Yeah, look at this question, right? How will your team play? Maybe you have seen Ajax and so on. So they're asking, is Manchester United going to be playing like Ajax? Like, I completely find this question so stupid, right? When Thomas Tuchel...
But that's a fine question, because moving on, he then says it's about the players.
Exactly. And this is what I mean, like
Ajax with players he has.
No, and this is what I mean, like the whole Manchester United fan base wants all this sexy football, this beautiful play, and all that.
Wrong.
I have heard so many people.
And you're listening to the wrong ones. You be listening to Mike Love United, hate Glaze. You be listening to him too much.
But I'm just coming to make a different point. I'm just coming to make a different point on this, right? Everybody, when Thomas Tuchel came in, everybody thought that he'll play 4-2-2, and this is his style. This is the way he played at PSG. These little movements here, little movements there. I'm probably sure you guys must have seen all these weird things, in social media and all these things. The way he's gonna play and so on and so forth. The first thing he came and did was play a 3 at the back. Nobody saw that coming. So I believe Eric Ten Hag is also that type of person. So all United fans also should realize he's going to assess the squad really well and do what's right for the squad and play what's best for the squad so that he can get the best out of them, basically. And that's what I was just going to make. Another question from Mr. Twisted, who has worked with Klopp and went on to being a reasonable manager. Pep has a few.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, see,
I have no idea.
I look at the I look at the way that Ten Hag's play. Obviously haven't followed Ajax very, very heavily. I don't really
Dan,
get
this question
coverage,
is for you,
but
by the way. If you
Who
can
has
answer.
worked with Klopp and went on to being reasonable managers? Well, none of them has become managers as of yet.
No,
Right.
No.
There you go.
you
Joshy,
look at your
go on, Josh.
yeah. I was going to say in response to that, you look at your Tuchel and your Klopp, and I think Hassan Huddle and who's the Bayern manager now? What's his name?
Nigel's fraud.
Nagelsmann. Yeah, but like they're all from the school of Ralph. They're all from the school of Ralph. So that they've all been in that sort of gegenpress style of play, but then they've adapted, obviously. Yeah.
Just as an aside to that, is that Jürgen Klopp, every moment, and he said it at the LMA Awards, he brought his coaching staff with him when he won that award.
Yeah.
It's not about one man when it comes to Jürgen Klopp. It's not just he's in charge. It's about the team. He's always said that without his team, without his coaching staff, he would not be who he is. And that is, again, a better thought process, is that it's not just one man who's going to bring success back to Manchester United.
Yeah, well, he's bringing he's brought Van der Gaag and McLaren with him, two people that he's trusting. So he obviously knows they're going to provide him something in whatever way.
McLaren knows him because they worked together. He was his assistant at 20. So there's a video where McLaren is talking about how Ten Hag is as like a manager, and the guy talks about him
hey, Steve McLaren's not going to speak in that gnarly Dutch accent, I guess, is he?
Yeah, that was just
that was mad. That was
not
mad.
Do that, is he? Don't do that,
mate. But the way he said,
how do you say?
The way he speaks. Oh, God.
By the way,
he speaks about him like it's
I got a question for both of you Manchester United fans. What is actually going to happen with Ralph's consultancy?
He's gone.
Now that he's got another. Now that he has
gone. From what they said.
Now that he has another part-time job, so you know.
Like look at this. Ralph has 2 part-times. He knows how hard it is to live in England, man. That money, that inflation, like he has had to go and get 2 jobs just to make ends meet. He's managing, and he's going to manage the Austria team. The Austria FA have already said that what he's doing is not going to impact what he's doing for United, and United have said the same thing. Now, how many of us are actually going to believe that's true?
Mate.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't make sense, because he went from being, when he first came, was he's going to be, he's going to be part of the project. He's just moved further and further and further away as times went on. He'd gone from being he's going to be full-time involved in the project. Then he was going to be like a consultant. Then now he's taken the Austria job. And it's just moved further and further away. I think that
he's getting phased out.
He's burnt too many bridges at the club. Stuff that he said out there, which that the ownership are not going to be happy with. It was the truth. No. But they were happy with what he was saying.
No, it was what was needed at the time, and I think they probably bit off more than they could chew, or what they expected they were getting.
You don't mess around with people like Ralph, because they have been in they have been in clubs that are really run well and they have operated well. They call you on your bullshit because if you're bullshitting, you know what I mean? You have been paid millions and millions and millions, because there are millions of people also watching this team who will be turning on Ralph and be like, what the hell are you doing? This is your fault, and this and that and all these other things, which in actuality, he's just the interim for the interim.
Exactly. And that's the point. That's the point I was going to make, is that he's, whether he goes consultancy or not, they probably went back on that because of how he was, but he's not permanent manager. So he's like, okay, if I'm going to be the guy before the guy, this is, he's got that pedigree. He's got that pedigree. He's turned the Red Bull teams around into competitive, and now it's just like, you know what? Screw these guys. I'm gonna, I'll Zoom meeting, WhatsApp, all those things. Tell Ten Hag what he wants to know. And even though Ten Hag was like, I'll do it myself, but there's no doubt he's having the conversation with him and taking his word on it.
I do have to add a little bit onto this. He, I believe, instantly has become the best looking bald man in the Premier League straight away after coming in. I think
100%.
so.
Don't do that to Pep. He's already in tears about Klopp.
He does look very
nah.
sharp, isn't it? He does look like
If
a
we buy
man who is coming here for business.
if we buy Pep a crate of water bottles, he'll be fine. Don't mind him.
Oh my days!
Yeah,
Yeah,
look at
to be
him.
fair,
Look at
he
him.
looks pretty
Oh.
sharp in that sandy suit, though, doesn't he?
He does look very sharp, and I think Pep's got. To be honest, I believe Arteta has some competition because Thomas Tuchel's fashion sense is. He looks like a fucking praying mantis. Thomas Tuchel.
He looks like the bad guy out of the
Yeah.
Bond movie.
Exactly. Thomas Tuchel is like the bad guy in a Bond movie, and Klopp is on a different level. Pep is just this thing.
Pep.
The only
Pep is just
person
Pep.
who looks really good and very stylish is Arteta, and Arteta has got a real competitor in
Lego
Erik Ten
hair.
Hag. Yeah,
Lego
he
Oh, I was
got
going to say he's Lego
Real
man. Yeah.
real
Ten
Ten Hag's got. Have you seen the way Ten Hag dressed though? He's got that real smart business casual sort of. He's spiffy, if that's a word. he's got a good.
This is
There you go. There
give
you
him
go.
2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
You give him 2 or 3 months at United, he'll be turning up in a pair of jogging pants and an old T-shirt with a
Well, you look at what. You look at what happened to bloody Mourinho and Ollie. They both came in looking fairly baby-faced, and they left like they were 75 years old and on the opposite side of a bloody steamroller. It was ridiculous.
But Mourinho had to go so far. He went into Tottenham and thought that was going to be good. It didn't work out. He went all the way to Rome. At least that man has some peace at the moment.
He's got his life back.
Yeah.
He's about to try and win
He
another
looks happy.
trophy. He's about to win
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one, guys.
He's going to have the collection.
He's going to complete the whole set, Dan.
Yeah, if he actually
He's completed
wins,
football.
he's completed, yeah. I absolutely.
Don't you run
Take
this
that,
agenda.
Klopp. Take that, Klopp. He's won all the trophies.
He'll be like,
Mourinho is better than Klopp.
he'll be like, I won it all.
I won it all.
Have some respect. Have some
Respect. 4 for me, 2 for them.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, is this while Klopp's picking up big ears number 7, is it? Is that what it's going to be?
No, that is not Klopp's number.
Mourinho already has 2 of those.
Oh, so's Klopp. Klopp's got the same amount. That's how it's going to be.
But that's the thing, like, it's an interesting debate, though. I mean,
I think it's going to be interesting though with Ten Hag. I think what's going to be interesting is those first 6 games. When he comes in, I think there's a lot of I think there's a mixed expectation, but there's a lot of expectation. Shall we say that? Ultimately, it couldn't get worse than last season because it never did get any worse than last season. Well, yeah, I'm not worried about United or Chelsea next season. There's too much work.
I'm vibes, bro.
There's too much work to be done.
Anthony are Vibes FC right now.
Well, we brought
Absolutely.
it up before, didn't we? You've got 2 clubs there who are in desperate need of improving their defences. United don't need to buy any strikers. United don't need to buy any midfielders until
Dan, I'm gonna have to disagree with you there because
no, it's not, mate. It's not.
Same.
I've already proven this. I've already proven this, mate.
Dan, I can't. I told you I can't go into a season. I can't go into a season with Ronaldo, injury-prone Martial now. Greenwood is
And
in
McFred.
pastures.
Where is
Greenwood's
Cavani?
in the Dungia. Cavani's gone now.
Cavani's gone on holidays.
And
for good.
Rash Food Bank don't look like he wants to even give food to the kids anymore. He just wants to sit at home.
He's going to be coming back. Jaden Sancho, who
doesn't play up front. He plays on the wings.
Do you know who also plays on the wings? Mo Salah.
I'm fully
Blah, 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 blah.
Just give him the 400k and leave us alone.
But I'll tell you something.
Give him the 400k.
At the end of the day,
Who let the Joker in?
it is what it is. I would say we will see what happens, but I believe our stream has been pretty good today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been good.
Yeah.
Wait,
We had
wait,
a nice laugh.
before we cut out, we need to quickly, if we have a bit of time.
We do have enough time.
KDB, how dare you flex that third PFA? Never. If he wins the
Fraud.
actual one, I'm going to lose my shit. I'm not angry with City. I'm not angry with KDB. I'm just angry with the people that are voting because it shows some of these men not watching this football. Look at
Hey.
how can you tell me Mo Salah or even Human Son,
Human
23
son.
number, didn't
Son.
deserve this, but you giving it to recency. But this is the prime example of recency bias.
Yeah.
KDB, no.
Human son. Yes, that's a shout.
Again, that's in the recency category because he went missing around the Nuno and the start of Conte, and it was only at the back end. The body of work. There is no really. If you're looking at the entire season, no one has performed the entire year.
No.
So how can you base it? You base it off stats. KDB doesn't feature in
Salah,
that.
isn't it?
Bro,
Hasn't
his
performed the whole
first-
year. He just got burnt out because too many games for him to play as well. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, you got to understand
And the
that man is
AFCON.
he's not a robot. He did his job.
Everyone thinks they have to play like robots, but
No, he did
Yep.
his job.
And that's it. And that's where recency bias, suffers for certain players. Look at Salah. You guys have all listened to me and have all told, that I've told to you. I'd like to have known why he didn't turn up. I'd like to have known.
And Twisted, you also think about Declan Rice, but you don't watch anything outside of England. Behave yourself in the chat.
So
Hey, stop saying anything to our new moderator.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just penniless. We can get booted. We can get booted by a moderator. Jeez.
Oh.
So as I say, Salah suffered for his own greatness, shall we say. At one point, he was being discussed as the best player in the world before Christmas. And then he's dropped off. And I said to you guys, I'd like to know where he's gone. But at the same time he's also had to go and do an African Cup of Nations. It's no excuse because Sadio Mane did the opposite. Went there, won, and then continued on scoring important goals and being being what we want. But recency bias is the biggest problem. It's massively the biggest issue because we look at certain situations and go, we're only looking at a small portion of time. You could win PFA Player of the Year or the Premier League Player of the Year by being good for the last 4 months. Simple as that. The first 4 months doesn't really matter because it's how you finish that matters. That's genuinely, I think how these awards are presented, to be honest.
Yeah.
Why not just have...
No, I was just gonna say to Dan and Joshy, I don't know whether you guys whether Josh, I can't remember. I think you were in the call, isn't it? And we were listening to this, and when Gundogan scored that first goal, then Rodri scored that second. Did you remember somebody saying, "Oh, KDB, you're so shit. You haven't done nothing in this game. You have done so much." And then chill.
He was he was shit that game, and it was only
but it just takes
made that one cross. That was it.
But then it only takes one moment.
One moment writes it off. One moment always writes it off.
Gundogan was even better than him last season, and he still didn't get the plaudits.
No, but then it only takes one moment. Like for an example, Salah might be shit the whole game, but then some 15 seconds, he might dribble past 7 players and go and score a goal.
Literally did that this season.
Yeah, he literally did it as well.
But in those games, that's what he did. That's what he did for time and time again. But it's when you're doing it. I think if Salah was hitting that vein of form in the last 4 months, it would have been wrapped up, done, finished.
Easy.
Forget
he
about
would have easily hit like 30, 40 odd goals as well.
If he carried on in the same vein of form, he'd have probably scored in excess of 50 odd goals. Across all competitions, he scored 27 goals or something like that in the first 30 games. It was ridiculous.
But at the end of the day, like for an example, like the African Cup of Nations, those World Cup qualifiers, all those things took a lot out of that player as well. And I don't blame Salah for falling off as well. At the end of the day, you could literally see his level of during that FA Cup final, he just couldn't carry
His
on because
legs.
he just
Yeah.
any player
But
would go down.
let's just remember something that he did do, and this is he scored that goal in open play against Wolves.
Yeah,
Although
Mm,
it didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
he scored
He did
the
score.
goal.
He's
the one that scored. He
when he
scored.
was needed, he came back.
Mm.
He was
When he
clutch.
needed
He was
to score,
fully clutch.
You know, that's what he's done. When we relied on him to get us a goal, we didn't win anything for it, but he came up, he did his job, and I think he's ready for that final this weekend. He is ready. Like
I
As
think
long
so.
as he's
Yeah.
rested.
he's
As long as
angry
he's
now.
rested.
He's oh no, I mean he's good. I think he looked very sharp. He looked very good against Wolves when he came on. He looked like he was ready to come back in. No, and I agree. I think we've all had this. The AFCON was only played this January because of it had to be played because of the coronavirus situation.
Yeah.
Normally it is played later on in the season, but there we
Yeah.
are. We have to go with what we've got to do. The World Cup being in the middle of this season is going to be a strange one. You know, we might get
I'm looking forward to it.
I am happy about it because Chelsea doesn't have to play in November and December. At least we might not.
None of us have
Yeah,
to.
no, I'm looking-
I like
looking
it
forward
because
to it.
I like it because Trent Alexander-Arnold will get a nice month-long rest. So there we are. I'm
He's going
pleased.
to the
Yeah.
World Cup. He's going
Is
to the
he
World
not-
Cup. But
is he
no,
not-
Oh
he's
yeah,
going
he's
to
just
the World.
getting
He's
sit on the
going.
bench.
He's
You know
going.
what I'm saying? With your feet up like this.
Oh, fucking
my
Reece
Lord.
James is gonna be starting, isn't it? At the
Yeah,
end?
every
Oh,
moment,
Harry
mate.
Maguire. Oh Lord, another one.
Oh,
Another
man.
one that's
They-
knocked himself into that England squad. Jesus Christ! And big up to Maury. He made the England squad. Big up to
Yeah.
Maury. Lifting up the
Another-
Yeah, big up
He
to
only
him,
had to win.
absolutely.
Another Chelsea boy.
He only had to win the Scudero to do it. So there we are. Well done.
Exactly. I
You
was
know?
just like, and
Yeah.
James Maddison is still sitting at home wondering how the heck am I going to get into this England team? Like,
30 goals,
Southgate.
30 goals and assists, 30 GA.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I
18
don't
goals,
get it.
12 assists is what he got this season. Doesn't
He
get a
did?
goal.
It's because he's no.
18
That's the thing is
goals.
but people are undermining him because of Leicester's season, whereas Grealish has been piss poor and he's played in a title winning team, so he's going to get the plaudits. You watch.
You know what?
It's
Do you know what
ridiculous.
makes me laugh?
He's got the same number of goals this season as Big Joel Matip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what makes me laugh? Yeah. Do you know what makes me laugh about this? Maddison plays in the same team as James Justin. They took James Justin. Why? They've got right backs. No, they just want to play him at left wing back.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I'm-
Just take Maddison.
If I'm
Just take
James Madison,
Madison.
if I'm
Can
James
you
Madison, I'm asking what I've done wrong. Genuinely, like
Southgate
that.
is taking the piss. Southgate is taking the actual piss. Like, you took his teammate and said, yeah, it's all right. No worries. We're going to take James. We're going to play him at left back. Even
He
though he
mustn't
can
like
play
his beard
both.
or something. I don't know what it is. It must be his
Oh,
beard.
mate. Someone
Can't
has
be his
pictures of somebody on something. So,
It's a madness.
But anyway, boys, we have come to the end of our stream of the lounge. This is episode 7. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody who joined us on our comments, and please keep them coming. It's fun for us to be very interactive.
Twisted, spell recency properly first before you come back.
All
Yeah,
right, all
big
right,
up Twisted,
all right.
big up Twisted as moderator. I love you. I'll see you later.
Yeah, and tomorrow we will be having our first transfer reaction show as well. Hope all you boys can join us again for that as well. That would be a little bit of a fun thing that we would be doing, because we are not
Yeah.
we are not experts in transfers or anything of
No,
that
we're
sort.
fans.
We are just we are gonna do what the fuck we want to do. If we want
That's
to make
it.
it FIFA,
Tell
if
them.
we want to make it like FIFA, we are just gonna do it. Who cares?
Why not? Do what
Why
we
not?
like.
Do what we want to do.
Yeah.
And Dan, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for
Joshy
having me, mate.
boy, thank you. And Andy.
Oh, yeah.
Annie, and Annie, thank you for joining us as well.
Pushing
And
agendas wherever I go.
100%. I know you were holding that KDB thing for a long, long time. I felt
bro.
that coming. And Twisted just did say that English is not his first language, but
Liar.
you are still our moderator, bro. If you want to block any, you block any.
What? English is not his first language. Hold on. If English is not his first language, how comes we can all read that perfectly? Hold that, Twisted.
No. It can. English is not my first language.
but you're so eloquently speaking. Like, I'm
You
not
can
I'm not upset with
you
you.
can learn
I'm
two
just upset
languages,
with
bro.
that guy and his English tax. That Queen Lizzie tax. Don't worry, we'll sort that out.
We'll sort that out later on. Anyway, boys, thank you for
Take it easy,
joining us
boys.
in. And
Thanks, guys.
goodbye. God bless and good
Glazes
night.
out, glazes
And
out.
glazes out, glazes out. And we'll see you tomorrow in our transfer show.
See you later, boys.
Peace.